46 years ago, Anne and I met. We were met in Sydney, in New South Wales, in a club called Reddy Hill RSL. So,
That's right, yeah.
A lot of people down there will be very, very familiar with that. Unbelievably, it is 46 years ago.
Yes.
And at the time, neither of us really had much. And I think had a lounge.
In a small single bed.
Small single bed. I had a Commer van, not a Combi van, a Commer van. And I was living in that, travelling around, and Anne was living with her parents. But we basically didn't have anything much.
Nope.
So, we really started from scratch. Now, however, we're actually sitting in one of our local parks. We're going to go for a walk around, but now we own our own home. We don't have any debts at all.
Nope.
And anything that comes up, we can pay off reasonably easy.
Yep.
We are pensioners, so we live on a pension here in Australia. But we live a pretty good life.
We do.
We can go out and do what we want. We can go on theatre, and please forgive the background noise, but we can go to a theatre, we can go out for coffee, we can go out for lunch, occasionally we go on a little holiday somewhere.
Yep.
So we've gone from pretty much nothing through to owning our own home and living a pretty good life. And along the way, we've actually raised 3 children.
Yep.
As well.
That's right.
So, why am I saying all this? Because I think we have a lot to offer, regardless of what your goals are in life, or what stage in your life you're at, whether you're younger and trying to basically make ends meet, and obviously maybe you want to buy a house, so you're trying to save for that, or you're like us, you're pensioners. I think we've got a bit to offer. I think our experiences along the way, we really do want to pass them on.
We do.
And sort of feel some sort of responsibility for that.
Yeah.
So we think we've got a lot to offer, and that's basically what the challenge is going to be about. We're going to have a lot of videos that show you the ups and downs and how we've managed things along the way, and including how we live right now. The things we do right now to, on a pension, make things work out. So hopefully you'll identify with that, and hopefully you'll find some things on our channel that'll help you. So we're going to go for a little walk around the park. I'm going to set the camera up, go for a little walk around the park, and talk a little bit more about how we got to where we are. I think we're all set up. There's going to be a bit of noise around here because the park is very busy today. There's a farmers market behind us over here, so a lot of people come to that. So let's start on this. As I said, 46 years ago, we didn't have much. So when Anne and I started, we decided that we wanted to get someplace together. First thing was to find somewhere. And that wasn't easy when you didn't have a lot of money, and basically we're trying to convince somebody to rent their place out to you. But we did find a place, and that was a very small little unit, and unfortunately right next to a railway line. So it meant it was quite noisy. But it was a place, and that was the main thing. Now, neither of us had a job at the time. That was an issue, so we didn't have a lot of money coming in, and very thankfully we received a lot of help. There was a local charity. They gave us a bit of furniture so that we could actually put some furniture in the place. We had the table and chairs to sit at, and they even helped us with a little bit of food along the way.
Yep. And a bit of linen as well.
Yeah, and a bit of linen as well. So we got a lot to thank that little charity.
Very grateful for that.
Yeah, so that was our situation at the time. But we didn't have any real income, so obviously had to get a job. Now I was taught, and this is a time before the internet of course, so you couldn't go on the internet looking for a job. There's dogs around here, as you can guess. This is actually the dog area. But I was taught, other than looking in newspapers, which sometimes had jobs in them, not so much anymore, but basically it was get out, go around to all the businesses and ask. Actually go looking for a job. And that's pretty much what we did, is we went looking for a job. This is going to get a bit noisy around here, but we're just going to have to get around it. So I basically walked around, looking for a job, going to businesses, asking each one, and I think I might walk on a little bit. It's a bit noisy around here. Okay, let's get back to this. Try and steer away from all the people. So, I eventually did find a job in a factory, just a pretty low paid job, unfortunately. Working in a factory, I think it was shift work from memory. And we had a little bit of income. Before that, by the way, thankfully to the Australian government, we were living on an unemployment benefit, which was pretty low. It was just enough to get by on, basically.
That's right.
So once I got a job, we had a bit more income coming in. We still were renting, didn't have much, but we could sort of afford to buy second-hand furniture again, and we could afford to repaint it and do a few things like that to try and improve a thing.
Yeah. And I mean, some of them were pretty good, actually. They ended up turning out really well with a bit of hard work.
Yeah, a bit of sandpaper and a bit of paint. And I'm not sure how many years. We did that for a few years anyway.
Yeah.
And moved to another house from memory. We moved away from there. The trains were just getting a bit too much. And one of the most important things that we started doing then was budgeting.
Yeah.
Anne was doing that.
Yeah, with the money that we were getting, it wasn't much. So it was pretty hard to budget, but we basically organised columns and organised our money into sections, and so that we knew we had money to pay our bills. And then occasionally I could have a little bit extra to maybe we'd have a treat or something. But most of the time we were just
getting by,
managing,
basically.
yes.
Yeah. And this was all done in a book, not online, not on a computer.
No.
It's all done in a book. You just drew it up into columns and allocated so much per column. We're going to do a video more about budgeting a bit later on, and give you a lot more detail about that. And we did that for a few years, and then we had a really stroke of luck. One of our neighbours, who we didn't actually know very well,
No, it was amazing.
They were a good neighbour. Obviously, seen what we were doing, come over and told us that there was a position open where he was working, and I knew it was going to be a much better job, much better pay, but I didn't have the experience, and it was a 3-hour commute. So I had to commute from the western suburbs of Sydney all the way into the main city, and that was a fair chunk of the day out, and it was shift work.
Yes.
So it was 3 shifts at different times of the day, 3-hour commute on top of that. So basically I wasn't real sure about it, but I went for it. I went and had an interview and nearly fell over when they told me I had the job.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it was a much better pay, obviously, being shift work. So we could really sort of start to put money aside. We couldn't save much before.
Yeah.
So we could start to save money.
Yeah, it was really good because then I could really organise money and we could plan on things.
Yeah. We still couldn't just go out and spend money willy-nilly,
No.
willy-nilly. That's a funny thing to say, but anyway, we still couldn't do that.
No.
But yeah, we just watched it. We budgeted. We made sure of what we were doing, and we slowly saved some money. And along the way, we actually spent some of that money to fix up the house that we were living in. Unfortunately, the owner of the house decided that we'd fixed it up so good that he was going to sell it.
Yes, very nice person he was.
Yeah. So we got notice that we had to get out. So the next thing then was we had to find somewhere else to live.
Yeah.
And even though we had a better income, it was pretty hard. Just finding places to live was pretty hard. There were not many available.
No.
And the rates were getting quite high.
Yeah, they were asking for huge rents, and the houses were like dumps, basically.
Yeah, they were. So we're just going to head across country here a little bit through the park, so it might get a little bit bumpy. Anyway, because we were having so much trouble with renting, and we really didn't want to be renting, we did decide to seriously consider buying a house. We had a little bit of money set aside, and we started looking around. So we went to realtors to have a look around and looked in newspapers, that type of thing. Obviously, at that time, there's no online place you can go to look for a home like that.
No.
So it was just really go from one real estate agent to the next to see what was available. Most of them were out of our reach. We couldn't afford them, basically.
Yeah.
And then we came across one real estate agent who had a mortgagee sale. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware of what a mortgagee sale is, but a mortgagee sale is where somebody, unfortunately, defaulted on their loan and they couldn't really afford to finish the loan. So banks foreclose on it, I think that's what you call it, and take the house. So we've got planes and we've got helicopters and everything going on around here. We're pretty much in the centre of the town. And anyway, get back to the subject. Sadly for them, they lost their home. And we don't know the circumstances. For all we know, anything could have happened, but we don't know what the circumstances were. But the house was available and it was at a much reduced price to what you would normally pay. But having said that, it was a bit of a dump.
Yeah, it needed a bit of work, as usual.
Yeah, it needed a lot of work. But we bought it anyway and started doing it up. We basically ripped up rotten old carpet, repainted things, and over the years that we were there, we did quite a bit to it. We finished off a half-finished garage.
Yeah, people had put wallpaper up on the walls, but whether they tried to stick it back on, I don't know. But they used araldite to stick it back on, and it was so hard to get it off.
Yeah, you couldn't steam it off. You had to scrape it off.
Yeah.
They were good times.
Yeah, they were fun.
So anyway, we did it up, but it was very small rooms. And for example, the kitchen was so small you could literally stand at the sink, reach out to your left and touch the fridge, and reach out to your right, and that was the stove, and there were a few cupboards, and that was it. That's how big the kitchen was.
Not much for any crockery or anything like that.
No.
It's very little.
And at that time, we had children.
Yep.
So it was pretty pokey. But it was our home. And we actually turned it into quite a nice home just by doing things to it. Again, all the time, budgeting and budgeting and budgeting, making sure that we had control over what our money was doing. But then along came the inflation problem we had here, which is in the 80s.
Yep.
And from the early 80s to the late 80s, it just kept going up and up. And by the late 80s, it was, believe it or not, at 17%.
We nearly died.
Yes.
We couldn't believe it.
It was so hard to keep up that basically we couldn't. So we made the, and by the way, we're in the western suburbs of Sydney. Not a great place for kids because just simply of the drugs around the area and the crime, broken bottles in the park and that sort of thing. It's all changed very much now. But in those days, the western suburbs were not considered to be a great place to be. So what with the money problems and the just the general area that we were living in, we decided we'll go rural, say that again, rural, out in the country basically. So because we had so much problems with paying it off, we decided to put it up for sale and we sold the house. And we sold it quite quickly actually.
Yeah, we were really surprised.
Yeah, we didn't think we'd sell it that quick, but we did sell it. Obviously we didn't ask a huge price for it. But it gave us enough then for a deposit on something out in the country. We couldn't buy again in the city because it wasn't enough. The city places were a lot more expensive. So we headed out into the bush and found a little town, very small town, and a home and this was after a lot of hunting, and had a home on it which was attached to a little shop.
Yeah.
And we bought that.
We paid cash.
Yeah, we actually paid cash for it. But of course you got to consider that this was in a very small
Very
little
isolated.
town,
Yeah.
pretty isolated. And it needed a lot of work. Hope that wind's not annoying the microphones too much. Might actually turn around and head the other way.
Yep.
Or we'll go across country again. So, where was I? So we're living in the country. We do have children with us at the time. And we actually quite enjoyed it. One of our children started school there. Great little school. Even though we're isolated, it's actually a great little town. When I say town, I think there were about 10 houses or something like that. There was a church, the school, and the hall, and our shop. And the shop was closed when we went there. But we decided that we'd open the shop, just sell a few basics.
Yep.
We opened the shop. I started doing some craft work and we put that in the shop as well. And believe it or not, we actually had people coming into the shop. And occasionally we had somebody from across, basically from overseas, who wanted to come in and see what the craft was and so forth.
Yeah,
But,
we had we actually had a book. We used to get visitors to sign the book and say where they were coming from, and there was people coming from Wales and Scotland and all sorts of places. We were really amazed.
Yeah, it was good. The kids grew up there. I think they got a good grounding, I think,
Yeah, definitely.
in their lives from that.
Yep.
Yeah, it was quite fun. We were getting to be very self-sufficient. That's pretty much where we started. Growing food, processing it, storing it.
Yep.
We had chickens. At one point we had turkey.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing about all this is that kids become very attached to things.
Yeah.
So turkey didn't end up on the dinner table
On the
at
plate.
Christmas. And even at one time we had a horse there.
Yeah.
But it was, as I said, it was isolated. We had tank water. There was no town tank water or anything like that. So we didn't have any of those sorts of things. But anyway, continue on. When we opened the shop, the local newspaper in the nearby town put an article in the second page, the full second page of the newspaper, about us and about what I'd done in the past. And what happened was is somebody else read that notice in the paper.
Yep.
And I had been working prior to that doing some programming when we were right in the middle of Sydney. And he looked at that. He was doing educational games for the Department of Education, and approached me there and asked me whether I wanted a job. At first, I didn't think I did want a job, and the reason I didn't want that job is because I don't know, I just wasn't that positive that it would work out. Also, it was going to be a 4-hour
Traveling.
drive one way to get from where we were into the main centre where the department was. So that was a big thing. And yeah, I had a lot of thought about it. Anyway, he told me about the job, told me what it paid, and in the end I decided to take the job. And for a few years there, I was working in that job, commuting into the city when necessary for meetings and that, but fortunately I worked from home. So that was really good. Money was quite good. But at one point there, we started to really think about it and think about where we were and our situation. And basically the education department decided to close the school in the town, and which meant then that the children had to travel by bus to get to schools, which is a big issue. And there were no high schools close by, so one of our children had to travel quite a distance on a bus to get to a high school. So again, it was time to move.
Yeah, we decided we'd had our time there, and we decided to move.
Yep. Not much we could do. We had to move. The town was dying. School was gone. But fortunately for us, there was a major centre, not where I worked with the education department, but there was another major centre not far away. And we travelled there, looked around for houses, and basically, again, found them too expensive. Obviously, the house, sorry for that, the phone started going flat, so I had to change over. Now, I think where we were at is we decided we had to leave where we were, put it up for sale, and went to another local centre and we started looking for a house. Unfortunately, the houses were reasonably expensive there, but we could afford a block of land, and the subject of basically building a house came up. So that was what we decided to do. We decided to build our own home. Now, excuse me, we did that by basically designing it ourselves, because we didn't like any of the designs that we had seen. So we designed it ourselves, and we found a builder who would build it for us. And the whole thing was all within budget, which was fantastic. So basically, we moved, we sold the other one, we got the price we were after.
We had a bit of trouble with the real estates, trying to get them to sell it.
Oh, yeah.
But then I put an ad in the local laundromat, and the buyers just turned up and we sold it.
Yep. So as I say, this is before really much of the internet was going. So there wasn't many opportunities. I don't know whether there were any opportunities to actually advertise online. No. And the real estate agents, while weren't too bad, weren't finding buyers. And believe it or not, the buyer was local. And as Anne said, it was from an ad in a laundromat.
Yeah, I just put an ad up and I thought I'd try it and see what happens. And yeah, they just came. As soon as they saw it, they rang us and they came and seen it, and that was it.
Yeah. So we sold it. Anyway, moving on. So in the process, we're designing up a home. We moved temporarily into some rental property and stayed there. We designed up a home, worked with the builder, and got the house built. Beautiful house, not quite finished.
No, we couldn't quite afford it complete.
Couldn't quite afford to finish the veranda that was all around it.
Yeah.
But it was a nice home. We were really happy with it. It was on a big block. Unfortunately, it took me 3 hours to mow it on a ride-on, believe it or not. I was still working with the education department, and making educational games, which was fun. Enjoyed doing that. And
I worked
Yeah.
on local farms that were there, and earned a bit extra money doing that.
yeah, so it was quite a good life. We got older. The kids get older. They're leaving home, going and working in jobs. Well, not all of them. The eldest was, and second eldest. The youngest was still at home going to school. And but life was good, and we were there 11 years. I think it
11
was.
years,
Yeah,
yeah.
11 years. And I was getting older, and that damn lawn, 3 hours on the ride on every week, that was becoming a bit of a
Just
chore. And
got too much.
yeah, it wasn't just that, of course, it was looking after the rest of the place as well.
Yeah.
And my work required me to still basically travel to the nearest main centre, which is a half an hour away, and to the major capital city in that area,
Yeah.
which was about, I think, another still 2 hours away.
2 hours
So the
drive.
whole thing was getting a bit hard to manage. So I come up with the idea to move, and wasn't real happy about that. But believe it or not, we found another block of land
Yeah.
in the major centre close to us, right in town, small block, and we decided we'd move again.
Yes.
Now, just something I need to say here. Why does all of this matter when it comes to the videos we're making?
Yeah.
Something that, it matters because along the way and all through this, we are continually having to deal with different issues.
Yep.
We were budgeting the whole time, learning how to use our money.
Yep.
We were learning how to be self-sufficient, in that we were growing things and learning how to deal with food, learning how to maintain things. So the whole process is a learning process all along the way. And that's basically what we want to pass on. Anyway, move on here instead of standing still all the time. So that's why we want to talk about all of this. Anyway, again, we went and designed up another house. And to us, this was going to be the final house. This was where we were going to spend the rest of our lives. And my son at the time was a builder. My eldest son was a builder. So the decision was, we'd design up the house, I'd become an owner builder, and my son would actually do the building work. And again, we basically went through the process. I learned how to be an owner builder. I had to do a course. And my son, who was, well, he didn't have to learn anything. He was already a builder and had his own business. Where are we? Then we got underway.
Yeah.
We're underway.
Yes, and we helped in when once the building started. We helped with all different things.
Yep. We painted it, at least on the inside we painted it.
Yeah,
And we had done for the other house as well. We painted the whole thing on the inside to save money.
Yeah, we packed I forget what you call it, the framing with insulation,
Oh, yeah.
so that
Yep.
we did that to keep the place warm.
Yeah, we did things in the house, as Anne said. And we ended up with a beautiful home. We loved the home.
Yeah.
Had everything we wanted in it, because this was going to be the final place. And at that time, of course, the children were leaving home, so it was going to be just the two of us. But we were quite happy to stay there.
Yeah.
And as I said, it was right in the middle of town.
Yep.
Easy walk into everything. And the town had everything. All the medical facilities available, theatres. You know, there was nothing that other than a beach.
Yeah.
I would love to have been near a beach, but it didn't have a beach.
No, but the major shopping centre was right across the road, which was really good.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
But unfortunately, while we were building,
GFC come along, which is a financial crisis. And the cost of everything just kept going up and going up. And ultimately, at the end of it, we had a much bigger mortgage than we really wanted. And then after a couple of years there, very sadly, we just had to sell because the mortgage was just so high that at the time we thought, well, we'll never get this thing paid off. I'd be a very old man before we got anywhere and be working until I was very old. And so we decided to sell it. Again, we went through the same process. Real estate agents weren't a lot of help. I found that we had the same old story from real estate agents. Oh, you won't get that sort of price. And when I asked them how they were going to market it, they didn't really have a marketing plan. It was sort of like stick it up in the window of their store, put a photo up, and that was pretty much it with a lot of them. But we had a plan. And that plan was to find somebody who would do a proper marketing plan for us, because we thought that was the only way we're actually going to get what we wanted. I might head off around this way over here. Starting to get back into the busy areas. And so we found a real estate agent, a young lady who was reasonably new to being one, and asked her, and she said she was very happy to do a marketing plan for us. She put a lot of work and effort into it, and we sold it. And we sold it and got the price we needed. And believe me, it was a sad day when we had to move out of that.
It sure was. Broke our hearts.
Yep. So the moral of that story is that life just comes along.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what you
think it's
do.
all good, it just comes along, throws you another curveball. Anyway.
But we managed.
We sold that, and while it was up for sale, we went looking for another place, and we found a place, and that is the place we're currently in.
Yep, our home.
And the place we've been for 20 years. Again, it was an older place, needed a lot of work. We did that work. We worked on the inside. We did everything except what we literally couldn't do legally, and that was things like plumbing and electrical work. And we fixed it up. And today it is pretty much as we want it.
Definitely.
We don't have to do any more to it, except maintain it, of course. And we have retired, and we are living on a pension.
Yep.
In case you haven't guessed, it's cold here. So hence we're all rugged up. Now, something I just want to say, I was listening back to what we've already done. It sounds like I did this, I did that, and a lot about me. But that's not true. Anne worked many times through the years that we were struggling and so forth, and some of the terrible jobs that she worked in. I was fortunate to have been able to get the sort of job I was doing. And it was really both of us working all the time, trying to make things happen and working together. And some of those tough times were pretty tough.
Yep.
Some of those tough times were put a strain on the relationship a bit, I
sure
think.
did. But we pulled together.
Yeah, we worked together and we got through it.
Yeah.
And here we are. And as we said, we're happy where we are. We live a good life. We live a fairly balanced life. There's not a lot that we want out of what we're doing now.
Not anymore, no.
We're not travellers. We don't want to travel the world and spend $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on a trip somewhere.
No.
We're really happy where we are, and I think we live in a beautiful city.
Yep.
And we're very fortunate where we are.
Yes, we sure are.
So that's the story.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll get something out of all the videos we're going to do that will talk about the various things along the way, the things we've learned, and how we manage our life right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's about all we've got to say. That's
Yeah.
long enough, isn't it?
It is.
We had to cover a lifetime.
Yeah, but yeah,
Hopefully that means something to you, and it will help you in your situation, whatever that is.
it'll be wonderful just if you even can find one thing that we give you in the videos that will help.
Yeah.
And we will be very happy.
Yep, absolutely. And of course, now we've got the time. Being retired, we've got the time to do this.
Yeah.
And it's, it's probably going to be a bit of a passion, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Anyway, I think we'll call it quits at that.
Yeah.
The next video, or the very first really good video that's not just about us, will be about the most obvious thing of all, and that is budgeting.
Yes.
And how we budgeted through the years and gone from basically doing that on pen and paper, drawing up columns, to now we actually do it
on the
online.
computer. Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see you in the next videos. If you want to follow us through all this, please make sure you subscribe, turn on those notifications, otherwise you won't know when we publish videos.
No.
And we'll say bye for now.
Bye for now.
See ya.